Is LA Knight your next Mr. Money in the Bank?
Yeah!
We're here to discuss. I'm Tempest, and this is Sat Iniangi. We're the House of the Black Mask, and you're watching the SmackDown Review podcast here on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel. Sat, talk to him.
What's causing all of this? But before we do it, let's fuse. Let's fuse you.
Very difficult to fuse while also holding my belt.
Oh yeah, listen. Heavy is the head, wears the crown. Ladies and let's start again. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to pay homage to the That champion. He is the leader of the House of the Checkered Shirt Society. He is Tempest B. Canada. I have to pay homage, man. When you're next to the champion, always pay homage. And yes, we are part of the Checkered Shirt Society, which is an offshoot, the House of the Black Mask. And yeah, we're here to talk about what seems to be the internet's darling. We're here to talk about LA Knight. Is it LA Knight's game? That's the question.
That is the question. Make sure, of course, that you like this video. Subscribe to the WrestleTalk Podcast channel if you haven't already. Ring that bell so you stay notified. And you let us know in the comments who you think is going to win Money in the Bank. Of course, Pete and Dan will be doing live reactions for Forbidden Door tomorrow here on this wonderful channel, but as I still haven't seen Pete since before Double or Nothing and before Night of Champions even.
He's ducking you, man.
I haven't seen him to give him this belt back. Not even.
Wait. Why would you give it back to him? You're the rightful champion. You defended it by all rights. The title is gonna get confused. The title knows who his daddy is, and the daddy is Tempest.
We'll see. But on to more pressing matters, like LA Knight. Because, as has been reported and has gone around a lot over the last 24 hours, there were a lot of changes made to SmackDown last night. And there were matches cut that were announced, like the Bayley and Shotzi match, and replaced. And apparently LA Knight had a different segment that got changed as well. But what we got on this show instead, regarding LA Knight, was a singles match with Rey Mysterio. A singles match that LA Knight won decisively and clean, beating Rey Mysterio with the blunt force trauma after a really good little match. And with all the changes going on SmackDown this week, made by one Vince McMahon, one has to think, does this seem like a vote of confidence on behalf of Vince McMahon in favor of LA Knight? And does that help his chances in Money in the Bank in a week's time?
My answer is no. The reason I say no is this is Vince McMahon. Expect the unexpected. The most weirdest of things might put him off a wrestler. He may think that LA Knight's shoes is too short, and that's why he can't be Money in the Bank. Because at the moment, it was reported. There was a Daily Mail interview with our brother Alex McCarthy he had with LA Knight, where LA Knight goes into deep details about the Max Dupree character, how that was created, because he caught the eye of the right people. But then it was mentioned, it's nearly 40. And then they basically changed route and made him a manager for a bit until, of course, Triple H stepped in, intervened, and he was back to being the LA Knight character we all love, near and dear to our hearts. But at the same time, you cannot ignore that reaction. But I'm not comparing him to Zack Ryder, but you have to remember there's a guy called Zack Ryder who got himself over, and as his reward, he was given United States title and also a cucking storyline with... with Eve Torres and John Cena and Kane. So when Vince...
The most heinous thing John Cena ever did.
Exactly. Most horrible face. Yeah, the most horrible friend ever. Yeah. So when I look at LA Knight, does Vince get it? I hope Vince gets it, but it seemed for a while Vince probably doesn't get it. There's been instances when there's wrestlers that have met the Vince McMahon criteria. I'm using the EC3 as the most recent example, where he didn't see anything in him. So you kind of go, maybe... he is out of touch of what is good with wrestling or what he likes. Heck, I might mention this guy's name. I shouldn't, but there's this guy called Ryback, who looked like the prototypical WWE guy. Did Vince go with him? Nah, not even. So you don't know what Vince likes or will go for, but you think LA Knight is the kind of guy you'd like. He's a throwback. It's weird to say this, but he's a throwback to the Attitude Era kind of wrestlers like The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. We don't really get wrestlers like that anymore. So when you see someone like LA Knight, who basically has a great grasp of cutting promos similar to like an Austin and a Rock, don't mock it. Be in awe of it, because we rarely get stuff like that. I mean, The Miz was trying to bring that style back once upon a time when he started in the beginning. So the fact that LA Knight has cornered the market of that kind of style promos, and his in-ring work is not bad. I don't know how people say, oh, you know, he's great on the promo, but his in-ring... If you watch his match with Rey Mysterio, if you can keep up Rey Mysterio, that for me is a criteria. Like, you're a good wrestler. Yeah, he's not a great wrestler, but he's a good wrestler. Good wrestler better than being a crap wrestler. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. And also, it's Sat-E time and it's Sat-E day.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to say, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think LA Knight had a better shot at being Mr. Money in the Bank a week ago before Logan Paul got involved. I think Logan Paul might have a pretty good shot at winning this briefcase. But if you're looking at people who are building momentum towards this show, LA Knight cut a promo on Raw that turned some heads, and now he was on SmackDown beating Rey Mysterio clean. And maybe that's just, you know, sensible booking for a guy who's in the Money in the Bank match versus a guy who's not in the Money in the Bank match in the case of Rey Mysterio. But that hasn't been a bar that they've met with LA Knight to this point. He was wrestling Bray Wyatt and not winning matches. He was going into WrestleMania getting hell of a reaction and not winning any matches. He has not won a lot of matches this year.
Nope.
But that has changed over the last few weeks. He is now starting to win a little bit more. Granted, he lost last week to Santos Escobar, but now he's gotten a big win over Rey Mysterio, a clean win, and I would like to think that that bodes well for him. I don't know if that means he's going to win, but there was another report that came out this week that said that there were lots of people who were pushing for LA Knight to win Money in the Bank. Again, does that happen? Who knows? Because ultimately it's up to someone who's out of his mind to make that decision.
The Mad King.
But one can hope. I'm still beating the LA Knight drum.
Oh, listen, I'll always beat the drum, albeit I'm still hesitant because I don't want to get my heart broken if they don't go all the way with him. Like you mentioned, there's the looming shadow of Logan Paul, which helps. The whole point of Money in the Bank is it shouldn't be that predictable. Because there's times when people are like, oh, it's too predictable. LA Knight's going to win. Oh, no, Damian Priest is going to win. But now with Logan Paul's in it, it's upped up the game and the ante and the stakes, especially for people that like to bet on wrestling. It's like, oh, who do I bet now on? It's like Logan Paul could be the disruptor, but I don't think they... As much as it would make headlines, right? As much as it would make headlines, could be a case that Logan Paul wins and he probably loses the briefcase to someone like LA Knight. That could be the route they could go. But I don't know. I'm not saying as bad as David Arquette because Logan Paul, he can do moves really well. It doesn't make him a good wrestler. I read someone saying that, oh, Logan Paul's a better wrestler than LA Knight. Nope, it's not true. Logan Paul can do moves really well, spectacular moves really well, more than LA Knight. Does more spectacular moves than LA Knight. Doesn't make him a better wrestler. Better wrestler putting the story together, selling, and all that, and psychology. The stuff that Logan Paul doesn't know yet. But I'm not going to go into rant about that. But like you said, Logan Paul is a good antagonist to have because it makes us work for our favorite. But I do hope that LA Knight wins, kind of like how Bryan Danielson, when Daniel Bryan won the briefcase one time, and we were like shocked about it. Like, oh no!
I was thinking about that this week because I was like, oh man, they really haven't given, this was before he beat Rey Mysterio, but they really haven't given LA Knight that much heading into this Money in the Bank reign. I don't know if he's going to win. And I thought about Daniel Bryan as the other example where it's like, well, Daniel Bryan wasn't even on TV most of the time heading into that Money in the Bank match that he had and won. And it's just because they made that decision on the day.
Exactly.
There was no thought being put into it leading up to that. They just decided, Daniel Bryan today, because they didn't want Wade Barrett or Cody Rhodes. They thought it was going to be too similar to Alberto Del Rio with two heels winning. So maybe they're going to have LA Knight win, maybe not. Maybe they have a plan now, but once they get to the O2 in 8 days, or no, in 7 days rather, Saturday pay-per-views, I'm still not used to them, maybe they'll change their mind on the day.
That scares me. You're saying that one bad coffee trip for Vince McMahon could just make him go with the most random person to win.
Always. There's always that chance.
Well, again, I've been...
Otis won.
Yeah, that's because he found him funny. Exactly.
Random choices win these matches.
The weird thing is, if Otis won it now, I feel like he have a bigger chance of being seen more of a threat because they rebranded him for a bit before he kind of reverted slightly back to his old character, but not too clownish to the point where he's not winning matches. He's still winning matches. He's got more credibility now, that's what I'm trying to say. I do hope. I've been on the LA Knight bandwagon since day one, even back to the Bray Wyatt feud. I was saying to people, guys, I'm enjoying the feud from one reason only. There's this guy who does not understand he's in a spooky horror film. That for me made it interesting because he's the kind of guy, you give him lemon, he turns to lemonade. And then you have to, a guy like Vince McMahon, whose backstory is he had fought very hard to get the trailer park to get where he had to go today. You have to admire someone that could turn the littlest thing into something very big. They gave him a promo time on Raw, smashed it. Everything they give LA Knight, he smashes it. So for me, I hope they reward it. But history has shown us rarely people get rewarded for getting themselves over and doing well. They try to squash it.
Yeah.
Ask Dolph Ziggler. He wants to put on the times to get big cheers, and we want Ziggler. And what did Vince do? Squashed it. And allegedly Triple H thought he's just a bump card and doesn't do much. So yes, that's a whole different story. But yeah, LA Knight, yeah. Let me talk to you. LA Knight's game. Come on. Yeah.
Well put. Let us know if you think LA Knight is going to win this Money in the Bank match, or let us know if you think him beating Rey Mysterio is indicative of anything other than just Vince McMahon got a hold of the sheet and changed one of the match finishes on this night. Let us know either way in the comments down below. But we're going to get into the rest of our SmackDown review here, which started with the Usos coming down to the ring, separate from the bloodline of which they are now free. They came down, and Jay was still like, he was shaking almost. He was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this whole thing has happened. Roman, you disrespected me, and you disrespected my brother. And Jimmy says, like, Jay, I think you made the right choice last week. And everyone's chanting Usi, they're chanting Uso, and they turned their attention to Paul Heyman. And I think this is really neat. This, to me, is a very good direction for this storyline to go because they start talking about how there's a snake in the bloodline, and that snake is Paul Heyman, who's gotten in Roman's ear and is trying to split a wedge between two brothers. And you just don't do that with family. And they talk about how they're going to face Roman and Solo at Money in the Bank, how they are the greatest tag team in the world, and that at Money in the Bank, they're going to welcome Roman and Solo to the Uso Penitentiary.
Love it.
I thought this was probably the best segment on the show, just because there weren't that many other
There really wasn't.
big segments on the show. I really like the idea that it is Paul Heyman that is the evil behind the last 3 years. Like, I don't know how close we are to the end of the bloodline. Personally, I always thought Roman was going to lose the title first and then continue the disintegration of the bloodline as a way to keep that interesting and prolong the story a little bit. But it seems like those two things are happening kind of at the same time now. Not to say that Roman's anywhere near losing the title, because who knows? Might be at WrestleMania for all I know. That being said, however,
Yes.
I think turning the focus of this storyline onto Paul Heyman and his corrupting influence is a very smart way of going about things at this point, because otherwise you're kind of missing a lot of the actual bloodline that had the intrigue, because that primarily over the last year has been the Usos and where their allegiances lie and do they side with Sami Zayn, etc. Now that split has happened, you need something else to carry that storyline on and create intrigue. And is there going to be another split? Are we able to topple the bloodline in some sort of way? Because I don't think that the Usos are going to really get one up on Roman Reigns at any point in a match anyway. They can't beat Roman Reigns. They might beat them in the tag match. I'm not sure. You can probably pin Solo, but then again, maybe not. Who knows? This isn't a prediction show. But I don't think either of them are going to actually beat Roman for the title or anything. So there needs to be a way to have some sort of small victories along the way, possibly. And that could be getting Paul Heyman kicked out of the bloodline. Anything involving Paul Heyman and that kind of story development there, I think this is very, very smart.
I agree with you. To go back on the promo that Jey Uso was cutting, in the beginning he said, the bloodline, and then Jimmy had to stop him and said, the Usos are in your city. What I appreciate about the promo, like you said, it was layered storytelling. They could have went down the route of like, Roman, you manipulated us, you hurt us, the whole boo-boo face. But then it would discredit what they've willingly done the past 3 years, right? It would almost be an insult, a slap in our face. We didn't know what we were doing. We're good guys. No, I love the fact that Jay says, Roman, we still love you. We'll always love you. We're family. So in their mind, this is just the latest of probably thousands of falling out they probably had as children or whatever. So in their mind, family fight is family squabble. But the poison, the root of evil in their minds, the person that turned their cousin into someone they cannot recognize is Paul Heyman. And I find it fascinating, like you said, they're going to Paul Heyman, because remember, at the end of the day, you have to realize this entire storyline, this entire title reign was always ultimately designed to get Roman Reigns to being the top guy in the whole of WWE, the top face. Ideally, Vince McMahon and company would like Roman Reigns on the side of the good guys again one day. And what is a great way of doing it? Because I ain't gonna lie, I thought to myself, like, how do you get people to actually like Roman Reigns? Like, how do you get people to want Roman Reigns to be babyface again? They have to be the quote unquote Lady Macbeth aspect, the person that's dripping poison in someone's ear, and it's also like it was also done in I want to say WrestleMania 6 with Andre the Giant and Bobby the Brain Heenan, where the crowd embraced Andre once he got rid of Bobby the Brain Heenan. That has happened before, where the corrupting influence, Macho Man in WrestleMania 7, the corrupting influence being, sensational Queen Sherry. She was the corrupting influence in Macho Man's ear, even though he already went mad, but she added more to his madness. So it has worked in the past where a top guy wants getting rid of a dead weight manager that's corrupting them, the fans embrace them. But of course, the fans today are not readily accept stuff like that. So it has to be a slow process. So this could be the beginning. Oh, my microphone's up. Sometimes people can't hear me or whatever. This could be the beginning.
That. We've adjusted levels and such.
Well, Tempest can't do everything. I see it something like this is like going to be the next phase of the storyline is, can we save Roman Reigns? So this is like a weird intervention that the Usos are going to do. Solo is the wild card, because it could be a case of like, as Paul Heyman's influence is slipping from Roman, as the humanity probably might creep back into him, he may, like a virus, latch onto someone else, someone impressionable like a Solo Sikoa, and say, Solo, I've always seen you as the future. You are the future of the bloodline. You are. He can go very much like Iago Aladdin, who knows, with New Jafar. So I can see it that he tried to corrupt Solo as that you're the next one up. It was never Jay. I wanted you to be the tribal chief. I wanted you. So he can go latch onto Solo, and then Solo's the one that turns on Roman. Because someone pointed out on Twitter.
I was just going to bring this up. Go for it.
No. You say, I said enough. This is back to you. We're tag team. I tag you in.
Someone pointed out on Twitter that Roman has never turned on his partners. He was the one who got hit in the back with a chair with the Shield. John Moxley or Dean Ambrose turned on Seth Rollins when Roman came down with leukemia. Sami Zayn hit him in the back with the chair. Jey Uso kicked him in the face. Jimmy Uso kicked him in the face.
Bingo.
Every single time. You can say that Roman is manipulative and he's a big old heel right now, but he's loyal in his own way. In his mind, he's not the one that turns on people. No. And I think that is such an important aspect of his character. I think you can really start to play with that as you get further down the line here, when he starts saying like everybody's turning on me, and maybe that forces him to look inward at himself, like, why is this happening? Maybe I'm the one that's wrong, or something like that. It's not you, my tribal
chief. It's not you. You're perfect the way you are, tribal chief.
It's so interesting. It's such an interesting character quirk for this big evil right now in WWE to be the one that's never turned.
And I want to add Paul Heyman has a history of turning against clients once they find conscience. Brock Lesnar's original run in 2002, once he started finding respect for fellow wrestlers, that's when Paul Heyman had enough of him. He said it's his weakness was him growing a conscience and showing respect towards wrestlers. That's why he ditched him for Big Show. So Paul Heyman does have a history of jumping ship when the meal ticket is not going the way he wants, when he can't manipulate. Yeah, CM Punk's another one. So Paul Heyman has a history. When we talk about Roman Reigns being the guy that never turns on anyone, Paul Heyman, sorry, other side of the coin, he turns on everyone that he's with if it doesn't suit his needs. So Roman Reigns, watch that out. I think the Usos should mention that, or someone else. It could be Sammy down the line. He's always trusted Sammy. Hey, Tribal Chief, always loved you, didn't I? Stay away from Paul Heyman. I can see it. That could be the next storyline going into WrestleMania. Roman's getting a change of heart, maybe trying to find his humanity. We've seen storylines in the past, like Becky Lynch turned face at the same time when she lost against Bianca Belair. That was at SummerSlam. Like, it can't happen where the heel sees the error of their ways. It could be at WrestleMania when Roman Reigns loses, he might actually shake the guy's hands, acknowledge the person that beats him, which might make Paul Heyman mad that you're acknowledging him, you're looking weak. But I'm going too far ahead. But yeah, we're excited about what the possibilities could be for this storyline.
Yes, absolutely. The Paul Heyman aspect of this is very exciting and gives us a lot to theorize about. After that, we had our first match of the night, that being LA Knight beating Rey Mysterio, which we've already talked about. And that segment ended with Santos Escobar running LA Knight off. So good stuff there. Backstage, Ridge Holland just walks by Solo Sikoa, and Solo's in a bad mood, gives him the spike and just says not tonight, and walks off. And Paul picks up the phone and says, call Roman Reigns. He's stressed.
Have you ever done that with your phone? Call so-and-so.
No, I don't use that.
No, I don't use Siri. I assume it's an iPhone holder.
Probably.
I don't use Siri because, I don't know, I feel like it's quicker. Because sometimes people call who?
Siri's listening to too much.
Yo, for real.
Siri gonna start thinking for herself.
And someone wanted to point this out, and I'm gonna say, yeah, Paul Heyman's got a history of mobile phones because he used to smash in people's back of their head. So they feel like it's an Easter egg, him holding his phone. Yes.
I don't doubt it, honestly. I feel like that's a cool little quirk.
Well, he loves phones, technology, right? It's his thing.
Yeah, but Sheamus then comes and finds Ridge laid out, still hacking and coughing as Adam Pearce is tending to him and everything. And then Sheamus says he wants Solo, goes out to the stage and calls out Solo Sikoa to face him that night. They make it official at some point that that's going to be the main event of the show. And then we had our WWE Women's Tag Team Title Unification match between Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, and Isla Dawn and Alba Fyre, the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. And I didn't write a lot of notes about this match, I'm not going to lie. It was okay. Ronda Rousey did a Poison Rana. A Poison Ronda.
Yes! Punny!
This was a foregone conclusion of a match, and I'm not saying that Isla Dawn and Alba Fyre should have won this match by any means.
I said it should have won.
Sure. But it's they've done just about just a hair above nothing with Isla Dawn and Alba Fyre since arriving on the main roster. They drafted the women's tag champions and then just unified the belts, so had them lose their first big match. Yeah. They've done a bunch of vignettes on them. They'll do a backstage deal or something like that, but I'm surprised that people know who they are at this point.
I know what you mean. It's basically it was a huge rush job, right? It's kind of like they should have established them on the main roster, have another defense, and then possibly on a SummerSlam, because it was done on a SmackDown, a random SmackDown. Yeah. As much as I always say, I want women's matches, they could have done. There could have been another way, a more creative way. I felt like it was creatively bankrupt what they'd done, but at the same time, I have positive things to say about the match. I feel like the match from the Unholy Union side, they added more because of their rapid fire teamwork. It made the match look fluid, and Ronda did well in the ring, and Baszler's always reliable. And also, I felt like the promo that Ronda cut after the match was decent for her for this current run. But it's weirdly enough, I'm like you. The NXT tag title should have never existed. But at the same time, because it did, Katana Chance and Kaden Carter and the Unholy Alliance, just two examples, got to flourish and develop the tag team repertoire because they had something to fight for. And now they're saying, the tag team titles will be across the 3 brand, which is a great, great reason. But I want to say that for me, the tag division is quite healthy, the most healthiest I've ever seen it, even more healthy than when they first introduced titles, because there's actually now like 4 or 5 women legit tag teams on the roster. Now the fact that the title's gonna go around different brands, you're gonna get decent matches out of it. So I see it as a positive. And I think Unholy Alliance or Unholy Union, they're not Big Show and Undertaker. They add to the show Katana Chance and Caden Carter. They add to the Raw side as well. I'm excited to see what Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler can do with the tag titles, because Ronda Rousey still Ronda Rousey, and her having the tag titles is on paper still a big deal.
On paper, yeah. I mean, and this all led to the return of Liv Morgan, because Raquel Rodriguez was sat at ringside during this match, just watching, and then the match ended, and she just went to leave, and Ronda called her out, and she stopped, turned, and said, I want a rematch for those titles that we never lost. And then Liv Morgan came out, and they cleared the ring. And if I had to guess, it'll be Raquel and Liv Morgan versus Shayna and Ronda at Money in the Bank. I saw a lot of people saying, why wasn't this unification match at Money in the Bank? And I really am kind of also curious, because there are 3 championship matches, including this one, on this SmackDown and the next SmackDown that feel like, well, why aren't they just on the pay-per-view? Some of them I feel a little bit stronger, in fact, where it's just like, Charlotte and Asuka, I am betting that there is a schmoz finish and they run it back at the pay-per-view in some way involving Bianca Belair. I have to assume that. But Pretty Deadly and KO and Sami Zayn is just on SmackDown next week. Why is that not the pay-per-view match? And maybe you do Raquel and Liv at the pay-per-view, but this was a unification title match.
Yeah.
Felt like it could have done with, like, if this was like 12, 15 minutes or so, given plenty of time, would have felt like a bigger deal.
And also Unholy Union, they're also UK gals.
Yeah, exactly.
Reaction next week, because SmackDown's also in the O2, so it's kind of like, in their mind, is like you're getting a 2-for-1 deal with the SmackDown, and so in their mind, it's like, what are you complaining about? It's in the same arena, just different dressings. That's probably like the
who cares? You won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal on SmackDown. It's in LA.
I want to mention something. So you said Raquel was walking away. So logically speaking, if Ronda didn't say anything,
what's Liv doing? I didn't even think about that, but you're right.
Because it wasn't a case of like they won and Raquel goes, "Congratulations, ladies, on winning the title. Wow, now I want my rematch." She was walking away. So it's kind of like, wait, are you legit? Like, either Raquel is a master manipulator, thinking I'm gonna walk away and she's gonna say something, and I'm gonna go walk back and ask for the title shot, and then that's when Liv comes out. That's the plan. I don't know if that was the plan. If that was the plan, you are a mad genius, Raquel Rodriguez. You're a mad genius. If that was not the plan, happenstance. But yeah, again, what would happen? There's an alternative universe where Ronda then cut a promo and then she walk back and then Liv probably pop up in the backstage as they're celebrating. I don't know. We'll never know. It's like one of those SmackDown versus Raw games, or what door you walk into will dictate what the storyline goes into. We'll never know.
She goes to the back and Liv's just like, you're supposed to set me up. I was gonna come back.
Nah, I can
like, oh, sorry, I forgot.
Now I can legit see it that Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler backstage. We're the champion, and then she walks up. Watch me. And you're like, what are you doing here? And then Ronda cutting her usual promo and stuff like that. And then
these nuts and all that. Anyway,
these nuts.
That's ridiculous. So we then had the Grayson Waller effect. This is a weekly segment, it seems. This time with Pretty Deadly.
Yes, boy!
Who came out. They said they were going to beat KO and Sammy in London. They said London was the best city in the world.
Yes, boy!
It's pretty good city. I've enjoyed my time here.
Yes, boy!
The crowd were like really getting all over Elton Prince.
Yes, boy! Which one's Elton Prince? What's his hair color?
The blonde one.
Yes, boy! I'm so proud of you.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
That's why you win stuff like this, because you study. You study.
So, this was, again, pretty normal Grayson Waller effect kind of segment. He starts talking about how incredible a performance Pretty Deadly put on in the Gauntlet match was. They call themselves the Iron Men of WWE, having beaten not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 teams. Of course, coming in last in the Gauntlet match. And they counted out all the different teams that they beat, and they get to the Street Profits, who then come out because they are going to have a match. And that's the next segment after this, is they are going to have a match. Fine little tag match, I thought.
Question, what's the difference between what Cody was doing after Rumble and what Pretty Deadly is doing? Because Cody said he beat 29 Alpha guys, so...
Bro, do not ask me. I do not have any clue why Cody Rhodes won that Royal Rumble from number 30.
Excuse me. Listen, I can't complain because it made Gunther. So that's why I can't really... Even though you could say it could have been Cody and Gunther's number 1, number 2, but at the same time, Sheamus was riding the wave. Ride the wave.
Yeah.
You can't... He could be number 3.
I know why Cody was number 30. I know why he was number 30. It's because everybody knew Cody was in the Royal Rumble, and if you leave number 30 available and Cody's come out earlier in the match, everyone's gonna think that number 30 is Sammy, and then when he isn't, everyone was sad. So you get to number 30 in the match, and Cody's not come out, and everyone knows Cody still has to come out.
So we did this to ourselves.
We did this to ourselves, Sat.
We played ourselves terribly.
But yes, so the Cody Rhodes of the tag team division here, Pretty Deadly, took on the Street Profits, and they had a fun little match. There wasn't a whole lot to it for the most part, just kind of, typical Pretty Deadly Street Profits type stuff. The Street Profits have been kind of on a downward turn here for the last little while.
Yeah.
You would think that this is probably going to lead to them being, either turned heel or refreshed or something, because here Montez Ford put on the not even half shirt, like quarter shirt sleeve thing that the Pretty Deadly like to wear. Elton Prince's came off, so he put it on. They did stereo dives to the outside. And then Angelo Dawkins is the legal man, and he gets rolled up, schoolboyed, and Elton Prince puts his feet on the ropes, and then Kit Wilson,
yes, boy,
wraps the sleeve thing around the dude's feet and holds them there for the leverage, and they get the pin as a result. So, Pretty Deadly go in with some more momentum, another solid little creative finish, I suppose.
Yes, boy.
Fine enough. Wasn't like a spectacular match or anything, but this was a solid piece of business.
Yes, boy.
Anything more to add?
Oh, 2 tastiest snacks of the SmackDown Tag Team Division. Yeah. I want to add. It's obvious the Street Profits they want too much smoke, but they're not smoking that smoke. So I hope that they're going to start addressing it soon. And I'm looking forward to what they can do because usually at this point, I feel like the Street Profits probably been a tag team longer than what the Dudley Boys were on the main roster.
Honest to God. I mean, the Dudley Boys split up for a bit, at the very least.
And Hardy Boys.
Devon found God.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm talking about in terms of main roster during the Attitude Era, because people can be snarky. Like Hardy Boys were together for longer than when they became successful. But the Dudley Boys started in '99, they split up in 2002. Yeah. If you add up Street Profits' time on the main roster, they've probably been together continuously longer than some of the famous tag team. They've certainly been together probably longer than Edge and Christian probably by now as a tag team.
Definitely.
Yeah. So the fact that they could potentially be turning heel, that is a good sign, because usually Vince is like, split them up, one of them turn heel, but both of them turning heel, that's exciting time. That means more longevity as a tag team. The Usos are now babyface tag team, so they need a more heel tag team. Hit Row are kind of not that kind of tag team. They're kind of tag team to take pins, so it makes sense that the Street Profits, the new vicious,
Street Profits,
yes, debuts soon because of the losing streak. But in terms of Pretty Deadly, for me, if you talk about people that have come on the show or on the roster since this brand split, they're probably on the upper tier of the success rate. They've done really well, and Elton Prince is a strong talker on the microphone. That's why I noticed when he was doing the Grayson Waller effect. I like the fact that Kit Wilson haven't given a chance to do the turn the shtick off and be straight, but Elton Prince has been given 2 weeks in a row. He went bar for bar with Sammy when he talked about Sammy's hair. He can be very cutting as a promo guy when given a chance. So I like Elton Prince as a promo. Kit Wilson's great in terms of supporting that kind of hyping up his guy as he's cutting promos. But yeah, there's nothing negative I can say. This gimmick is evergreen. I could see them being in 2002, kind of like Billy and Chuck were. You got two guys that are more tapping into the metrosexual side of things. You probably see them on Queer Eye, probably trying to, help people's, fashion tips and sense and so forth. It's an evergreen character. I could see Pretty Deadly in the 80s, 90s, noughties, 2010s, and now forever together.
What an endorsement. We'll see. I don't think they're going to win the tag titles or anything like that.
No,
but this
boy.
has definitely been a good little run for them on SmackDown so far. Better than most of the NXT call-ups anyway. Next, we had Charlotte Flair beating Lacey Evans. Boo. In a very short match. This was what it was. Charlotte won. Charlotte did the Andrade pose in this match.
Hey, tranquilo, man.
That was neat.
Hey, listen, if your husband...
Giving a shout out back to Andrade after Andrade won with the figure 8 on Collision.
It looked... Okay, he's got muscle mass. It looked hard for him to actually raise himself and do that. I'm like, man, Charlotte, you make it look easy because Charlotte goes... Boop, boop, boop. And when Andrade's like, muscle mass. Oh, when's the last time I clipped my back?
Yeah.
So when he did, I was like, yeah, that's a hard move to do. And he even said on Twitter, he goes, "Mommy, how you should have told me that this move's a bit difficult to do." But I love how the husband and wife are just shouting each other out. Someone said on Twitter, because I'm not going to take credit for it, that this is the most Vince McMahon match of all. His two favorite blondes, huh? You got Lacey Evans, who's not really doing nothing at the moment, and you got Charlotte Flair, and there's no stakes in it. There's no reason why to have a match, unless it's a tune-up, warm-up match. Because isn't it like Charlotte's first match in, ages? They didn't
Since
hype it up.
WrestleMania.
They didn't hype it up like that. It just made it like a go-away match, throwaway match. But what I do want to say about Lacey Evans, because she's an investment. Yes, we all don't like Lacey Evans. Yes, boo her. Yes, boo her. That's a disclaimer. Boo her. Yes.
Boo.
She hasn't worked out as a singles wrestler. So it came into my head, the women's tag division always needs more bodies. She needs a cadet. And then that's going to make you even more angrier because she's going to be bullying someone that's her tag team partner. There's plenty of women in the PC. Or someone like a Leah who's probably chilling in catering. Make a Leah her new cadet. And then that way, Lacey can be part of a tag team where she's a drill sergeant with her rookie and they fight in the tag team division. At least I have her something to do because they invested so much into how many vignettes does one person get and succeed with nothing. Even Jeff Jarrett, when he came back in 98, he finally figured things out. Come on, Lacey. Figure it out. Guys, figure it out. We're tired. She gets new hat, Cobra Clutch, Drill Sergeant, blah, blah. We don't want another repackaging. Keep this character, just put in the tag team division because she hasn't worked out as a singles. It helps with, other wrestlers. Chelsea Green with, I forgot her name at the moment, her tag team partner. But it works being in a tag team.
She can go sit in catering. I'm
Sonya
not
Deville, thank you guys in the comment section. I'm going to read later.
screaming at you. This match ended, of course, with the figure 8. And then Asuka came out of nowhere and kicked Charlotte in the goddamn face. I saw a slow-mo clip of this on Twitter, and it looked fantastic and horrible at the same time. Just absolutely crushing her. And yeah, Asuka did her little dance, and she's like, haha, I kicked you, and then went up the ramp. And that was that. They're going to have their title match next week.
I can't believe that is... Listen... yay. I mean, at least we got Asuka on the show. Mm-hmm. I hope. I'm one of those people, I could be deluded. I think Asuka's still going to be champion come September. But the way they're booking her, it's not really giving me hope. What do you do with heel Asuka? Right now, they don't know what to do with her, so that's making me kind of scared.
Yeah, I agree.
That's your champion. That's a champion, and you wouldn't even tell.
Nope.
How they're booking her.
Not at all. And then we had Bianca Belair backstage, who was told that she is banned from ringside for the Charlotte Flair-Asuka match next week. I don't know if that is going to fly, because Bianca Belair says she does not trust Adam Pearce. Good. You shouldn't. This man is a charlatan.
I'm with you.
He's got a dirty ass.
He's got a dirty bum. So Adam Pearce. Before I was giving the guy his due or not.
Doo-doo.
He's doo-doo now. I've reached my limit with him. He just pick and choose when he wants to be an authoritarian or a standby, a passerby. In this situation, why would you bar Bianca Belair? Yeah, he played into the trope like he knows what's going to happen, but so what? You like to watch everything's happen. Do something about the Roman Reigns matches.
Yeah.
There's too many interference there. You haven't done anything about that. Rematches. That wasn't a thing before, but now it's a thing again. Adam Pearce, you're almost reaching Constable Corbin levels of annoyance.
Damn, them's fighting words. And then we got our main event, which was Sheamus versus Solo Sikoa, which to me didn't really feel like a main event match. Certainly didn't have a main event finish.
I was shocked. That was
Yeah.
actually main event. I actually made it. I was like, whoa, that's actually the last match.
Yeah. This episode of SmackDown didn't have a lot going on. The women's tag match was important because it was like a title unification. That was one thing, and the opening promo was like, it's important narratively. But otherwise on this show, there wasn't a whole lot, and maybe that goes into Vince changing things backstage with the script and everything. But this was just a kind of nothing really happened episode of SmackDown because, of course, we got this match, Sheamus and Solo Sikoa, which was set up on this show. And, I mean, it was solid enough. Like, Sheamus and Solo, they traded their big moves. Sheamus hit his, like, running knee strike. He did his 10 swinging chest clubbering blows over the ropes and stuff. Solo hit his moves, went for the hip attack. And finally, it just led to Solo Sikoa putting Sheamus through the barricade at ringside and the referee calling the match off. Did Solo win by knockout? Was this a no contest? I don't know, unfortunately, but then Solo got back in the ring and the Usos hit a number of super kicks and a splash on him to end the show.
Yeah, the show ended almost like uncertain. There's an air of uncertainty around how it ended because it's like they did a super kick, music's on, another super kick, music's still on, go on the top rope, celebrating, then they do Uso splash. I was like, oh, I'm starting to think probably something got cut and then that just stretched things out for time.
Mm-hmm. I really did feel that on this show because I would have to imagine, like, just as an example, Bayley and Shotzi would have gone longer than Charlotte and Lacey Evans did, just for example. So, like, the timing of the show might have been out of whack. I'm not really sure. Of course, we haven't seen, like, the rundown of the show to know it exactly got changed, but that's just one thing that we know because it was announced last week. But, yeah, this was a very kind of messy, all over the place kind of show. I still thought it was, like, fine. I wasn't offended by anything. Nothing on the show was out and out bad. I thought it was, like, maybe a 3 out of 5. Just kind of, like, fine. This was a SmackDown show that was fine.
It was fine because it had much more highs than lows, right?
Yes.
LA Knight winning, the Usos promo, the Usos coming out later to take out Solo Sikoa. I'm trying to remember the other ones. Liv Morgan's back.
Yeah, Liv Morgan's back.
The tag titles are unified. I mean, it was a noteworthy episode, but with not much happening in it. The Charlotte match. So the thing is, I think had they given it something, like them having a competitive match, then you'd be like, yeah, it's kind of worth at least to give us a competitive match. But the fact it was a squash, it's like, could we not just gone with the original? Because it's kind of like, Asuka didn't have a match.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It was whatever. Like, the main event itself was like, I wasn't watching it frowning or anything like that. Just didn't really feel like a main event.
Yeah, it felt like, if I'm being honest, not to diss, it's a kind of wrestling show you have on in the background while you're doing other stuff and you just catch the odd thing, what's going on. Oh, Liv is back. As you're chopping onions or something, like, oh, if you're having a sandwich, that kick from Asuka, bloody hell.
It felt kind of like a SmackDown from, like, 2015 before the brand split, where it was just kind of like not a lot of important things happened, but it was just like the matches weren't necessarily bad. You just wouldn't really remember. This wasn't a SmackDown that I'll remember in a week's time anyway. But that being said, with the review portion of our show brought to a close, we have some very important people to give a shout out to before we get out of here for the day. Those being our $25 and above Pledgehammers over at patreon.com/WrestleTalk, who get their own custom wrestling nickname read out on a show just like this. So if you want your own custom wrestling nickname, make sure you go and subscribe to the $25 and above tier today. So a big shout out to the incredible Tarzo. Yeah.
Return of the King, Tomo.
Yeah. Keep rolling, the Rick Peck. Yeah.
Tony Jabroni.
Yeah. Trev Dog 316. Yeah.
Vincent Shaloki Garcia.
Yeah. Vito Ventura, Pet Detective. Yeah.
Willie Biggie Singleton.
Yeah. Where there's a Will, there's a Will Campbell. Yeah.
Always leave the crowd waiting, Brian Moore.
That says wanting.
Oh, always leave the crowd wanting, Brian Moore.
Yeah. See, it's a pun. It makes sense. Super Kick, Nick Mazesko. Yeah.
The Soul Survivor 1993.
Yeah. Thank you very much to all of our Pledgehammers who this week over on patreon.com/WrestleTalk got the full uncut version of Wits and Wagers No Holds Barred. And next week we'll be getting a brand new 1 month's advance access episode of How Adam Would Book. So a very fun time to be a Pledgehammer over on patreon.com/WrestleTalk, as well as we just did our milestone live stream with Adam and Sullivan that you can go back and watch on demand whenever you would like to, where they played the not full, but the first chunk of their My Rise mode campaign in WWE 2K23 together. It was very, very silly. That, of course, was our goal that we hit when we got to 2,200 Patreon backers, and that number has continued to climb, so we thank you very much for your continued support. However, I want to give a special shout out here, not being paid for this or anything, but the wonderful and lovely folk from NRB, that being Blair Shepherd, and Holly Musgrave have a very exciting venture that they have started, and they have given everyone a chance to sign up to, where if you need to send your children between the ages of 11 and 17 to a camp of some sort to keep them occupied during the summer, there is a board game camp being run later this summer for children ages 11 to 17. Board game camp with Holly Musgrave and Blair Shepherd. I want to give a big shout out to them. You can find them on Instagram, that being boardgamecamp_London. You can also buy tickets. The link is in the description on their Instagram. There are not two more lovely and wonderful people part of NRB to look after your kids. They're fully certified. They've gone through all the means. It will be at Drafts in London. So if you want to buy tickets to either the 1 week or 2 week camps, you can absolutely do that and give your kids something to look forward to this summer. Keep them busy, have them make some new friends, and play some lovely board games. We all love board games. Get on board. So a big shout out to them, boardgamecamp_London on Instagram.
I love it. Get on board, guys.
Get on board. We will be back here on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel tomorrow night with our live reactions of AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door, that being Pete Quinnell and Dan Layton. I combined his first and last names together. Make sure, of course, that you check that out, as well as the review that comes the following day with, I believe, Pete and Luke, and then all of our normal shows, as well as predictions next week for Money in the Bank, and our live event live reactions for Money in the Bank next Saturday. It's going to be an action-packed, jam-packed week coming. Thank you very much. As always, my House of the Black Mask brother.
Yeah. Are we doing a show again together next week? Is
this is goodbye for a while?
I knew it. So we have to address it, guys. The elephant in the room. I'm taking time off again next Saturday.
And then after that, I'm taking time off because I'm going home to Canada for a wedding. So
yeah,
I'm not going to see you for like a month, my good brother.
Yeah.
But this is not goodbye forever.
No.
This is only goodbye for now.
Yes.
So goodbye for now. I will see you next week.
The house always wins.